everybody, and welcome to this course. Have you ever wanted to take great pictures and then edit them to look like the ones that you see in magazines or on the internet or on your Facebook? Well, this is the course for you. You're going to learn all those tools here in Lightroom Classic and Lightroom CC. My name is Alex, and I'm a professional photographer and professor. I've been doing this for a long time. Almost 20 years. So needless to say, I love photography, all aspects, from taking the picture to editing the picture to then showing the picture to my clients or in a gallery setting. But to get my picture to its final stage, I always need to edit my images and just bring out the best in them. So Lightroom, to me, is the easiest and best way to do that. So we're going to learn all the tips and tricks and tools that you need to effectively and easily edit your images. So come with me and let's get started. Okay, so when you do open up your Lightroom window here, what's going to pop up is most likely this blank screen. You might not have any photos downloaded yet or brought in, and that's great because we're starting from the beginning. So you do have a folder on your desktop at this stage that does have some images in it that you would like to edit. You should have them saved there so that you can access them. So let's go into it. When you open it up, it will say click the import button to begin. That's going to allow you to bring in some images to begin to work with. But let's just talk about what happens when you open this window. So when you open up Lightroom Classic, you'll see a lot of different labels here, a lot of different things going on in these side panels. There's a lot of words, a lot more tabs you can click, and up here we have a few other options. And we'll just talk about those really quickly. So when you start to import an image, you'll be in this library. The library is where all the images are going to be stored before you begin to develop or work on them. 99.9% of the time in Lightroom, these are the two rooms that we stay in. Then there are other rooms that you can explore later on in your journey, like map, book, slideshow, print, and web. For me, these are not tabs that I use very often, and you probably won't be using them either in your beginning journey in Lightroom. So let's just go ahead and click that import button. And when we click the import button, you will see I need to select a source. I'm going to select over here where it says source. This tab was already clicked, but if you click that source tab, what comes down are the files. These are all the files that are on your computer that you will see. If you have your own hard drive external, it will also pop up there. But these are all of your folders or your files that are on your computer screen. So I'm going to click here on desktop, and then I have some images under Lightroom tutorial. Maybe I'm going to click a folder. So when those images come up, you'll see that these are the images that are on that folder that are on my desktop. So you can also do the same. Pull up some images. We'll wait for that. Okay, so when you pull up some images, this is what's going to happen. All of the images within that folder will come into this navigational window. Once you come into this window, you'll see that all of the images are checked already, and just for now, I only have 3 images, so it's kind of easy for me to deal with. But if you are importing a folder that has 100 images, maybe you don't want all of them checked. So we can go ahead and uncheck all of those images so that we can just have a look at them independently and pick the ones that we want to really import into our library. And maybe I'll just click up here at the left hand corner if I'd like to import these images. So now they are again selected. So that's a check all if I wanted to check all, or uncheck all if I wanted to uncheck them and independently bring in my images one by one. Now I've selected my images. This is a good way to view your images if you have a lot of them. If you go down here to the bottom, you have this grid view. So again, if you are importing hundreds of images, the grid view is a nice way to take a look at all of them to check the ones that you'd like to import. If you want to take a look more closely at a certain image, you can take the loop view, which is the box, the icon next to the grid box, and you can click on that. And then you can look at the images one by one Maybe you really like that one and you do want to add it. And maybe you really like that one and you do want to add it. Maybe you don't like that one and you don't want to add it after taking a better look at it. And I'm just scrolling through my images now using the arrows on my keyboard pad. So if you click the left key or the right arrow, left or right, you can look through your images more quickly in that loop view, that larger view. So I'm going to go back into my grid view now. And then I'm going to go through here. You can click on this sort button, and if you have a lot of images, then you might want to click on this sort button to sort of sort them by file name or capture time. There's a lot of different ways that that Lightroom allows you to sort your images as you're importing them. And again, when you're in your grid view is over here on the left-hand corner. Go to the far right-hand corner, and if you'd like to see your thumbnails larger before you import them, you can always scroll over here to make them very large, and you can see them a little larger without going into loop view. So these are different ways to navigate this initial navigation of adding or bringing in your photos from your desktop. Okay, so now that you've chosen some images that you would like to import into Lightroom, we just want to talk about how you would like to import them. Right now we have it on the Add button up here, but if you scroll over, you can go to the Copy as DNG. Why would I want to bring these images as a DNG? What is a DNG? So a DNG is the Adobe version of a RAW file. It's an Adobe digital negative. They created this for you. Why? Because RAW files are large, and if you shoot a lot of images and you want to import a lot of RAW files, it takes a long time. So if you convert your images when you bring them into Lightroom into DNGs, digital negatives, it will allow you to import them faster, and ultimately they take up less space. Does it hurt your quality in terms of your images when you import them? No. No, digital negatives do not affect the quality, although the size is affected. You still have the same amount of information, but you will have a smaller file to work with, so you can import it and export it faster and work with it a little quicker. That's what Lightroom helps us with. It helps us with our digital workflow as photographers, because you can create changes to those images really quickly, and it won't take you hours and hours and hours to work on one photo at a time. We can work on a lot of photos at a time because we can work so fast in Lightroom. This is why photographers like to use Lightroom these days. And when you click the digital copy as digital negative, you'll see that these little tabs begin to open up. So let's talk about these tabs over here on the right side. We have our file handling tab. What I like to do is to build smart previews. Why do I like to click that tab to build smart previews? Because I want my images, once they're imported, to pop up quickly into the navigational window, and that helps that to happen. I click this one as well, the second check, because I don't want to import suspected duplicates. That's just simple, because if Lightroom is smart enough to understand that you might already have that image imported and they just don't want to take up space and import another copy of that image. You can also make a second copy to a destination of your choice. You can click that box and you can scroll down there to create that if you choose. You can also add to a collection. We haven't talked about this yet. You can do this straight from import, but you can also do it once you're already in the library, and we're going to talk about that in another module. Let's click on this arrow here, File Renaming. If you'd like to, from the start, when you're importing these images, rename them to categorize them to make your search for these images just a little easier, then you can click on this File Rename checkbox here. And you can click on this template, and there's lots of ways to do this. Right now it's under the date. You can scroll up to custom name. If you come up here to this custom name tab, you can always change your text and create a custom name for these images. Let's just say Brad, because that's his name and he's a model that I shot. And now when you go and import these images, that's just one more way that you can search for your images once they're in your Lightroom library. And once you have created and started working with your Lightroom library, you're going to have lots of collections and images, and sometimes you just need to go and search for a keyword and notice that those images that you typed in will pop right up. That's the beauty of Lightroom. It's a really smart program.